Hello.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So my name's Haley,
And I'm Connor.
and we're gonna start a podcast. We're gonna do this.
We're starting a podcast.
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about transitions. So both you and I have ADHD and overall anxiety, and overall are just humans who struggle with going from one thing to the next.
And that's
I don't
why
know
this
how many times
podcast is called What's Next?
exactly. And kind of giving you our tips, telling you what the internet says, and laughing and hopefully actually helping you get out of freeze mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd start it off with starting a podcast.
What next? Starting a podcast. What
Yeah.
next?
So
Yeah.
you want to start a podcast.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, how's your week been? Have you had any freeze mode moments or any tough transitions?
Definitely. It happens on a daily basis where
Yeah.
I'm doing one thing and trying to go to a different thing and, just kind of sit there in that choice paralysis type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, an example I would have is
If you don't have one this week, I have one.
okay. Yes, please tell yours first. Well, I think.
Yeah. So my big one this week that like is kind of like a forced freeze mode and like forced transition is just so as you know, I lost my job. And so I've been interviewing for jobs. And we'll talk about that in another episode, so stay tuned. But I think the biggest like tough transition has been like waiting to hear back from places
Mm-hmm.
is just miserable.
Yeah.
And like I don't know what to do with myself when I'm having to wait back. Like all I want to do is like be that person that like sends a million text messages in a row, but that is not at all professional or how to get them to respond to you.
Yeah.
And so it's just like the major one that I've been dealing with like this week is like, okay, I interviewed for a job, what next? Because it's like so tough. You're like, do I keep applying to jobs? Do I just wait? How many times do I follow up? How many times can I Google when to follow up after an interview? So that was a big one I faced this last week, and we'll probably talk about that more in future episodes.
Yeah.
Because I could go on about that for forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I still can't think of a single example, but
That's okay.
it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes you have them, sometimes you don't. In fact, that's a good example of freeze mode. We're starting a podcast, and so we started recording the podcast, and you're in a little bit of a freeze mode. How ironic.
A little bit, yeah. I'm not sure how to loosen up right now. Genuinely.
It's okay.
I'm definitely in my head a little bit, but yeah.
It's okay.
It's all right.
Okay. Because everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just got new contacts
Oh, that's exciting.
that have a astigmatism thing in it, so it helps with that. And
Mom
I
was
can
telling me.
see.
So for those of you who don't know, we are siblings.
Yes,
And
that's also.
so,
Yeah, we should bring that up.
and so yeah, Mom was telling me that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have astigmatism too.
Yeah.
We're the same.
And now I can see so much better. My
Oh my gosh, you
reality
can
has
see.
shifted.
What next?
I can see now. What next? Yeah. I've been wearing my glasses that I've had since 2018 for the past couple of months instead of contacts. And
Yeah.
they have this like blue light filter on them. So it
Right.
it makes everything a little bit more yellow in the world. Oh, and it's so
You're living in a
it's
Coldplay song.
I'm living in a night shift mode from your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was not a ghost. That was Banks.
Banks is her dog, who is a border
Banks is my
collie.
dog. Banks is my dog. And that also leads me into a good point. If you are just listening to this, you can also watch this, and you can see that my door just randomly opened behind me.
Yes, I was thinking about that, about the starting of a podcast as it goes along with that. I was realizing we're gonna have to describe the things that
Yeah.
we see and show on the visual podcast.
Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
I do. I listen to
Okay.
John Green and Hank Green's most often recently.
Okay.
I love
But,
them.
Yeah, so I listen to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of the podcasts that I listen to, they do the same thing that we're doing, where it's like the video and the audio.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you can relate to this. Maybe this is just like, again, my mental health issues showing, but like sometimes like I will like naturally like narrate in my head what is happening anyway. And so it's honestly kind of freeing to like voice it, because I've spent so many hours in a day listening to podcasts that do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you'll narrate to yourself what you're what do you...
Kind of. Like, my inner monologue is, like, not just, like, me talking to myself in my head, but it's also, like, an account of what's going on sometimes.
I relate to that.
Yeah.
And then I think to myself, wow, you are overthinking.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's, like, absolutely, like, overthinking everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be our first little segment, is just week catch up and chatting about any freeze modes that we had, any tough transitions that we had. And then second segment is, so our first what next is starting a podcast. Have you ever had to deal with this transition? I have not. You have. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
About doing a podcast.
Yeah, you started a podcast.
Yes, I have started a podcast. And now I'm doing 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
And, yeah, podcasts are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got one now these days.
Everyone has one now.
Every single person
What
in the
does
world.
that say about our world, that we all just want to listen to ourselves talking to a microphone?
It just means that our generation, for some reason, needs an audience, and everyone needs validation.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to challenge my own thought, though, because as someone who, like, listens to podcasts and loves podcasts, I think it's, and, like, the way that I engage with podcasts is kind of sad, because, like, they become my friends.
Yeah.
And, like, I will, like, answer back to them or, like, laugh, and, like, I'll be in the car and I'll feel like I'm in conversation with them. And so, you know what? No, it's not a bad thing, and it's not super egotistical. I'm going to challenge that. How awesome is it that so many people in our generation want to create communities for other people?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, how cool is it that we all just want to help other people feel seen and heard and relate?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess is good, because we're doing this, and so...
Yeah, I think I grew up watching vlogs, and and to a certain, and like sitcoms does the same thing for me, like Friends, like they are like your friends, like you're like it's kind of like a internal thing. Yeah.
No, exactly. And like, I like that you mentioned vlogs, because I'm a huge like vlog watcher, and I think it's just like a way, because I won't even like actively watch them. I put them on and then like do other things. Mm-hmm. And so it's like I'm just going through my day with other people, and I feel like that's what podcasts are.
It's like body doubling type of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I'm parallel playing with this digital person. Yeah.
Yeah. So for all you people who are using that, hello, we hear you. Please feel free to answer back like we are in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it.
Yeah. Do you have any advice, or what do you think?
Oh yeah, I was talking about doing a podcast. Yeah.
Maybe give some context. Your last podcast was what? How many episodes did you guys do?
2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too many, and then it just fizzled out. But I think, and we went a little too hard into it. Like, we got all the equipment and everything you needed, and I don't think you necessarily need all that to do a podcast. But No, yeah, it was fun. But I don't know. I think you definitely need a vision for what the podcast is about. Um like a focal point. But also I don't know, you really don't. I don't know. I have no
I think like
advice.
vision is good. And I also think like a huge part of it too is like your why.
Yeah.
Like why are you doing it is like what kind of keeps you motivated. And then also I think like in relation to this podcast and like kind of learning from your past experiences, we're siblings, so we're stuck with each other.
True.
And also I think that allows for us to like hold each other accountable in kind of a unique way.
Yeah. That's also
Because
true.
30 years from now at Christmas, we can think back to this and we will still be in each other's lives. So I think that's kind of cool. Like a nice, like, you know, maybe like find some built-in accountability.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because, you're not going anywhere. Can't just,
yeah. Exactly.
So.
And we'll either, like, see each other and, like, be chatting and be like, wow, how cool that we, like, did something that is helping a lot of people and, like, helping people feel seen. Or, oh, shoot, man, we really should keep doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're still doing it. Who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I'm in such a weird mindset today. I don't know.
That's okay.
It's one of those days.
I feel that.
Just one of those days where you're just like not in. You're just not in your. I don't know.
Hey, I think that's a cool thing because that's life.
Yeah, I'm just not present or something. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? That's actually perfect because I'm feeling like really in it today, and so hopefully we'll balance each other out.
Yeah, we'll balance, and then maybe some episodes it'll be So
it will absolutely be opposite. So
yeah, I'm in a day where I'm just in a dissociative in and out type of thing, but
and that happens.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So clearly, one of the cool things about this, like, what next topic is, even though I've never dealt with it before this, we're both dealing with this now. So do we want to talk about kind of like what we did and how we kind of came to this point?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure wait, what do you mean?
So still on our second segment.
Oh, okay,
yes.
Yes.
We have to deal with this what next.
Mm-hmm.
And I never have, but we're doing it right now. So I woke up one day and was like, man, I want to start a podcast. It was actually a coloring thought.
Nice.
Yeah. I am like obsessed with adult coloring. I feel like you knew that about me.
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. You and your colors, which I totally relate to.
I like got out of it for a hot minute, and like one of the things that I do when I'm coloring is I oftentimes will be listening to audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been challenging myself to like listen to more music as like a self-care thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I don't know, my brain reacts differently to music, and it's like good for, you know, the oxytocin, happy feelings.
Yeah.
And so I just put on like some chill music and was coloring, and that's when this came to me. And I think it's because, well, first of all, it's because I was thinking that I should make TikToks about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to be quite honest with you, I was like, you know what? I feel like a lot of people struggle with stuff like this. And I think it'd be really cool to get this info out there and to help people feel a lot, like, really seen. And so I know you and I had talked about like collabing a lot. And what's nice about having you as my brother is you kind of have that built-in audience.
I do. And that's like the first recommendation of like every article you read about how to start a podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it was kind of cool because I was coloring and I thought of this, and then I think I texted you, or I might have just honestly called you in a way too excited voice and started saying, hey, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
What next?
And so we started with like the topic and what we wanted to talk about, and then just went from there.
Yeah. It's funny how, like, sometimes it's like a chain reaction where you're doing one thing and then you are in, like, a creative brain mode, and then
Yeah.
it'll spark a new idea. And, like, you'll start working on that idea. And then, like, you'll get, like, it's a distraction, little detour that your brain takes. And then sometimes, like, if it's two separate tasks, then it's, like, you get stuck in that you get stuck. And I think when you were saying that, I realized I think I might be still stuck because I was working on painting and random fixing this door and stuff, and I was in that mode. And then now we're doing a podcast, and then our brother shows up.
I know. Yeah, I heard that he was coming home.
Yeah, and so now it's just like switching to different mindsets. It's like,
so like you literally. Not even just starting a podcast in general, but starting to talk for a podcast.
Yeah, starting to talk for a podcast.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And especially when you are in that mode where it's like you're really feeling what you're doing.
Yeah.
It like kind of sucks to like have to take yourself out of it.
Yeah. And so I think my brain was just in like a very tunnel vision type of mode. And then taking it out to be like, oh, more outward, and I'm like, oof.
You know what, though? I have to say, I'm proud of you and I'm proud of us for actually, like, sticking to the time that we said and, like, recording it today.
Yeah.
Because it would have been so easy to be like, oh, I want to keep painting. I don't want to do this right now.
Yes, I think yeah, good for us. Because I think no matter what mindset, it's good to just, consistency is key. Just to
consistency is key.
Do it no matter what.
And, like, training your brain to, like, stick to things like that. I don't remember when, like, I started really thinking. It was probably last year. Because last year at, like, honestly, exactly this time of year, I really got into, like, goals and, like, personal development again. And one of the things that, like, I was reading about, especially for, like, people with ADHD, because, it's tough to, like, show up for other people and to, like, stay consistent. And one of the things that, like, I read in a bunch of stuff was, like, how can you expect to show up for, like, other people if you can't even show up for yourself? And, like, how often, though, do we, like, deprioritize the, like, appointments or, like, the commitments that we make to ourselves, and, like, what that does to your self-esteem? Because, like, you're then telling your brain that, like, other people are inherently more important to you because, like, you showing up for them feels more important than you showing up for yourself. And that really just, like, hit me. I'm not explaining it well, but, like, I don't know. Yeah, like, it's important to show up for yourself, even though, like, we have nothing riding on not showing up today, but we both wanted to do this.
Yeah. No, that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah. So good for us. We made it past freeze mode, or we made it past all of the excuses and all of the times my brain told me to text you, let's do it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it. We showed up. We started this podcast.
Yeah. No matter what I think no matter what type of mindset, whatever, I think it's good to just have that time and place and just do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I also, like, think that, like, one of the things that I'm really bad at is, like, chatting with people and hanging out with people. And so even if this goes nowhere. True. What?
That is not true.
No, I really am. Like, I'm really bad. Like, I always, like, one of my goals, like, every week is to, like, FaceTime with, like, one of my friends or, like, do stuff like, and I never do it.
Yeah.
Like, I never do it. So if my friends are listening, and they probably will because I have really great, awesome, supportive friends, I'm sorry, but you are on my goals every week. And I'm sorry I never actually FaceTime you. And so I think, like, this is a good way for us to, like, show up and, like, this is cool that, we have never really talked every week, especially as we've gotten older.
True.
And so I think no matter what, even if no one listens to this, this is a cool
like,
excuse for us to chat every week.
It's just it's a good way to connect with my sister who we don't talk as often anymore. Yeah. It's just a good excuse, to talk every week. Cause it's, And that honestly could be the same thing with my buddy Sean. Like, we both have ADHD and we want to keep connected, and then we just, there's just periods where we're just not talking to each other, and then we decided he had an idea to do a podcast, and now it's also just a good way to connect with a buddy each week,
Yeah. No, I love that. So basically what we're saying is, if you also have trouble staying in touch with your friends,
start a podcast. There you go.
Honestly, hey, you mentioned John and Hank Reed. That's how they started Vlogbrothers. It's because they moved across the country.
Right, and they just wanted to stay in touch.
To each other, and they were posting on YouTube, yeah.
That's great.
So I guess that is the way to beat it.
That is the way to beat it.
Just start a internet sensation.
Yep. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty funny, too, that, like, the first thing you said when I called you and said, hey, let's start a podcast together, is you were like, oh, I'm already doing that with someone else.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of cool that, like, that was happening at the same time.
Yeah, now I got 2 podcasts, so that's hilarious.
There you go.
Yeah. But I've been, it's good, though, because I feel like me not long ago would have been like, no, I don't really want to, or...
Yeah.
But no, I'm really forcing myself to never... Like, I want to take every opportunity that's put in front of me.
I like that.
Because I think...
Again,
yeah.
Also, like, the follow-through. Like, I feel like the fact that you're following through with both of them is really cool, too.
Yeah, because I don't want to miss an opportunity that could be something good.
Mm-hmm. Unless the people want to hear your voice, Connie.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's actually helped me because with all the planning and doing everything, and I've just been focused on doing auditions and stuff, and now doing these podcasts, I've started like writing scripts for TikTok, and like I want to start filming again, and like it's
There you go.
Yeah, it's been a little therapy having homework, and because like it's doing something for myself is like doing these podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I'm doing auditions, there's like the external pressure from like other people, like I need to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But like I haven't done something for myself, I feel like, in a while. I mean, I'm doing the auditions for myself, obviously, but like there's...
No, they're different though.
Yeah, they're different. It's like...
Because someone's waiting on the other end for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And this is just on us. So like it's... yeah, it's been helpful.
No,
it's been good.
And I think like it's cool because you were just saying too how like when you're like doing one thing that's creative, it like leads to other things that are creative. And so like we were talking about how like, yeah, when I was coloring, it led to me thinking about like this. And so I think that's awesome that like doing something like this and stretching this creative muscle has led to those other ones kind of getting warmed up.
Yeah, no, genuinely. Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
And that's how I used to do it. Like I would just, I would be like doing a craft and I'd think of a video, do the video, hyperfixate on another craft, and then hyperfixate on a video. It's just, I love like the creative momentum. And that's a huge thing in the ADHD world, is like chaining things together. So like if you're doing like you're doing the dishes, you might as well clean the counter after, and then that leads you to cleaning out the fridge, and that leads you to organizing the pantry, and then chain linking things.
No, exactly. And because it's like, some guy on the internet once said follow the dopamine, and so that's basically what that is.
Yeah, you're just following the dopamine. Yeah.
If you guys don't know, he's the one who said that.
I'm the guy.
He's that guy. He's that ADHD guy.
I'm the guy. I'm that ADHD
Yeah.
guy. If you look it up on Google, I'm the first face that pops up. If you look up that ADHD guy, I'm that guy.
And I mean, you know, not to like toot my own horn or anything. Let's be honest, Connie. Some of that content in the beginning started because you and I just sat down and chatted, and like we're having chats.
Yeah, literally. She's been the inspiration. This is you're looking at Haley DeWolf, the inspiration for a lot of the TikToks I've made.
Don't give me that much credit, but I think like that is like a huge thing, is just gaining that momentum and keeping it going.
Yeah. 100%.
In a way that feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Nice. Well, so as everyone will learn, and as you know, Connie, I am a planner. And so one of the things that we did to start this podcast was, one of the first things that I wanted to do was like create the format. And so as you guys have kind of heard, we had that like first little segment of like we catch up, second one of have you had to deal with this, what next, and all of the segues in between. And so our next segment for this show going forward and for this episode is, what does the internet say? And I kind of thought of this one because you and I are very similar in the fact, and I think this has to do with our father. We really are students of Google University.
Yeah.
And my first thought when really anything happens is, oh, let's Google this.
Yeah.
And as we all know, as people of the internet is a wild place and says some interesting things.
A lot of very interesting things, yeah.
A lot of very interesting things, yeah. And so, so we'll kind of go over our experience, and then we'll chat about what the internet says about what to do next. And we kind of decided to break it down into like written, so that can be like articles that were actually published, blog posts. I'm 25, and so blog posts were what I thought was going to get me famous on the internet, and so I still read blogs every now and then.
Wow.
And then what does Instagram say? What does TikTok say? And then finishing it out with probably the most unhinged. But actually, my one today is like very structured. But what does Reddit say? And so this is like the format that we're kind of going with for right now. However, who knows how that will change. But yeah, and so we're both going to kind of bring to the table what our Googling brought us.
Yeah. And this one's just kind of for fun because this is our first ever episode of a podcast. So it's not like we're going to like have any like, oh, I disagree with that one, because we like this is our
have no idea.
This is just
Let's be honest, these were genuine Googles of how do I start a podcast?
Right. So if when in our next episodes, it'll be like, you know, other topics that we'll also have ideas about. But this one, we're just going off of, like, we don't know. This is we're just starting a podcast. Yeah. So we Googled and found out what the internet had to say about starting a podcast. So we'll probably intercut audio for the podcast.
Yeah.
And for like the videos.
And we'll like link stuff as well. So,
we'll link stuff, yeah. And for the visual, we'll show it on here.
Yep.
And then we'll just read out loud the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your first little written thing that you found?
Yeah. So my first written thing was a Forbes article.
Nice. I saw the same one.
Yeah. And I think that like can happen. And so if we have the same one, I think that'll be fine. Because for listeners, viewers, we are not going to necessarily share these with each other first. So we'll be kind of like talking each other through it as well. But yeah, my Forbes article, I thought it was really funny. It was good. But so the article is How to Start a Podcast and Make Money in 2024 by Mimi Polner and Kelly Main.
Nice.
A contributor and editor. And it starts with something I'm a fan of as a table of contents.
Oh, great.
And I liked this article because, well, it was pretty funny. I was kind of laughing my way through it. But then also, like, it did give some good tips. But it started off with, what is a podcast? And I'm not going to lie, I kind of feel like if you are searching or reading an article about starting a podcast, you should probably know what a podcast is.
That's true. That's true.
And so I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, and then, so if you're wondering.
It's good to preface, though. It's good to preface.
Exactly, yeah, yeah, give the context. But a podcast is an audio-only episodic series that features one or more hosts talking about a particular topic. So here we are.
There we are.
And I really liked this descriptor because it says, there are podcasts that discuss just about anything you can think of, from current events to true crime to beekeeping.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to a podcast about beekeeping?
No, but I hear it's all the buzz.
But and then, yeah, I like this one because then it kind of went into, like, reasons to start a podcast. However, again, if you're reading this, I kind of feel like you probably already have your reasons, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, so there were some fun ones. How much do we want to, like, describe these articles?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll just keep kind of going. We'll just flow. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so reasons to start a podcast. You want to build an audience. You want to build credibility.
Build an audience first, build credibility online first, and then you can start a podcast.
Well, so no, this is reasons to start.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you want an audience. Which is ironic because remember that is a reason to start, but that will come back later.
For fame.
You want to build credibility as an expert in your niche or industry. You want another stream of revenue or income, all right? You want to build your network, and you want to have fun.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then, again, this is pretty funny. Then it goes into common misconceptions about podcasts. You need a specific skill set. However, one of their reasons to start was to build credibility as an expert. I just have a lot of, like, variants.
Right.
So you might want to become an expert, but you don't need any skills.
Don't need any skills.
You don't need expensive equipment, which TikTok would disagree with, but I'll get back to that one. Another common misconception is that it's a dying medium. Well, I hope not. You need a large following. Again, I find this ironic because just wait. And then the podcast episodes need to be long. So, cool misconceptions. But here's my favorite part about this article. So the next section is how to start a podcast in 5 steps. But then under every step is at least 2 other steps.
Right.
And so they really get you. Like, I thought it was pretty funny because so it says, step 1, define your niche or topic, but then under it, research existing podcasts, choose your format and cadence, define your audience. And it's like, look, those are 3 other steps.
Those are 3 other steps.
Yeah, and it's not even like they're just continuing to talk about topics. No, like they are completely other steps.
That's hilarious. If people that are watching are wondering why I keep on looking to my right, it is because my brother is in the basement watching me.
Do we have a live audience member?
We have a live audience member. Come on and show your face, little guy.
Hi, Joshy. He's not little.
He's not a little guy.
For everyone who is just listening.
He's crawling on the ground now.
Looking down, and so it kind of
almost feels because he's on the ground now.
Oh.
He's crawling on the ground. You can show your face.
Hi, Joshy.
Say something.
Joshua, we can see you in the reflection of the TV.
That's Joshua the Wolf, everybody.
Yep, in the flesh.
Had to get your shoes? Is that what it was?
I didn't have to. I really wanted to.
Okay.
Funny.
All right.
Wait, that's funny. That's why Alex had to come in here, was to get shoes.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I didn't have to.
Oh, okay. Joshua the Wolf, everybody.
Joshua the Wolf, getting his shoes. But yeah, and again, so then step 2, build your brand and online presence, followed by create a website, create social media profiles, set up an account with a podcast platform. Mm-hmm. So again, huge other steps.
Big old steps.
And those are really, those are really loaded steps. Like, create a website, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then, step 3 is only one step. Source recording equipment and editing software.
It's actually this is extremely similar to my written post.
Oh, nice. Well, see, I love that. Because, hey, maybe that's how we'll get some good advice out of it.
Yeah.
Step 4, record and edit your first podcast. And then under it, name your episode titles. Craft a compelling show description and episode descriptions. And then submit your episodes to directories. I don't even know what a directory is.
I don't even.
Okay. And then here's my favorite step. Promote your podcast. Which is all about having a large audience.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, it's got some good tips in there. It's pretty blunt and straightforward.
Yeah, really blunt, really straightforward, but it was absolutely not 5 steps.
No.
It was more like 8 steps, 9 steps.
Right.
And they are all like steps with other steps.
Yeah.
And like honestly too, I think that's like a huge part of why I wanted to make this kind of podcast, is because so much on the internet, like you'll find something and you're going to it for like, if you have ADHD, if you have any kind of mental illness that like gets you in that freeze mode, reading an article like this would just be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, here are 5 steps, but no, they're not 5 steps. And then also it's like, you have to, like, if you're like me, you have to create steps within those steps for the steps.
Yeah, so, too many steps.
Too many steps.
Steps, and more
steps. Too many steps.
Steps, and more steps.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then it ends with how to make money with a podcast.
Oh.
And basically it's have an audience.
Nice.
Or create a GoFundMe. But yeah.
Nice.
So that's what I found. I thought that was pretty interesting. Good tips. And so as much as I might have ragged on you, we really appreciate it, Mimi Polner and Kelly Main. You did give some good tips, so thanks, ladies.
Yes.
But maybe if you're gonna say 5 steps, maybe I don't know. Actually, I have 5 steps.
It's your first dollar from the podcast.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Yeah,
I'm taking this. I got some money. That's great. Mine was a WikiHow article.
I love it. See, that's a good broken down, like
4 ways to start a podcast.
Ooh, 4 ways to start one. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can have that. Yeah, I think I'm coming up with my advice for starting. I think we should go through these. I think we should summarize the written parts in like a. Because I feel like the videos and TikToks are going to be like 10 seconds, then we just talk about it. So I'm going to go through this relatively fast.
Yeah.
Determine the nature of your podcast, and it's a picture of a piece of paper, and a guy is writing comedy, news, health, sports, music or politics. So first step is similar to yours.
That's one of my favorite things about WikiHow articles is the pictures.
Me too.
They're always like kind of like clip arty, yeah.
And then second step is choose the products you'll use to podcast. You can use, and there's a picture of a laptop, microphone, or a audio mixer type of thing. But
Cool.
I mean, technically, which I have one of those from my old podcast, but it's kind of showing 3 things you kind of already need for a podcast. So I'm like, so they're not really a choice. I mean, you can use them separately, but and then it says pick your software. One is there's a picture of GarageBand, Audacity, and Adobe Audition, which are 3 softwares that are, in my opinion, useless for a podcast.
And can I just say too that those are all like softwares that we learned how to use in like high school libraries.
Yes.
That was what they. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So maybe not a podcast, but like a high school presentation. All right.
Yeah. It says prepare your content is the third.
Okay.
Well, see, now this is getting into more steps on steps and
why
steps.
do steps have steps?
Oh, there's so many steps. I'm just going to skip to 3. Uploading your podcast.
Oh.
I already know this. It's through like an RSS feed.
Well, some people might not know that.
It's true.
Again,
That's
where,
true.
Like, some of that good,
Right.
That's why we talk about.
That's why we're
what
talking about it. To get other
Yeah.
people to start a podcast. This
Yeah.
is a pyramid
And
scheme.
to help other people. So you need an RSS feed.
You need an
I have no
RSS
idea what RSS
feed.
even stands for.
Me neither.
Cool.
And it's not telling me on this article
Love
either.
that.
So
you don't need to know what an RSS feed is to start a podcast.
the second step of this step is give it a second.
Wait.
Once you upload it on the RSS, give it a second. It's gonna take a second to upload. All right. So give it a second. All right.
Pack your patient pants. All right.
So hey, patience is required. Slow your roll. It's not going to be instant. It's going to take a second to upload, okay? Give it a second.
Okay, you know what? I don't think I can start a podcast.
Step 4 is make money from your podcast. And step 1 of that is
Wait, hold on. That's step 4?
Step 4 is make money from your
make
podcast.
money?
Make money from your podcast.
Okay, cool.
And step
Cool.
1 from that is sell your podcast. Sell it. Give it to someone else.
So again,
Sell it.
love the internet. Not telling me how to make money from the podcast. That is one thing the Forbes did, is they did tell me actually how to. Just telling me to make money from it.
Yeah.
And then, how do you even sell a podcast? What does that even mean?
I love how that's step 1 though. Because then second one is get advertisements and stuff like that.
Okay, so like promote your podcast.
But the first one is just straight up sell it. Give it to a business.
Money.
Love it.
It's a rich man's world.
It's don't let it be your podcast anymore.
So that is the WikiHow's how to start a podcast.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And honestly, since we're already at 45 minutes, my TikTok and Instagram basically said the same thing.
So it's funny you say that because so when I looked this particular topic up, and I kind of figured like, for this first episode we would focus more on like introducing it, so we're all good with time. But when I looked it up on Instagram and TikTok, Instagram basically just gave me a bunch of ads for like $300 master classes about starting a podcast.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's that, like, and that's what I think is going to be interesting, like, going forward, is, like, because we're going to get, like, these people listening will get an inside look at our brains, because I feel like that might just be my algorithm.
Yeah, see, because
like,
mine was different on
Yeah.
Instagram. Mine was showing, like, more brand-centric. So it was like how to use your podcast to sell your business, and it was like all about
so
like
that's
marketing,
yeah.
and like I was like, This
So that's where I feel like it'll, like, this part, especially for like Instagram and TikTok, will be, is like to compare like how our internet is different.
that's also true.
Because mine was like a lot of like, how do you start a podcast? And then like there were no tips. It was just join my podcasting 101 masterclass. And I was like, oh,
I don't want to do that.
So really what you're telling me is don't start a podcast, but start recording video master classes and make money that way.
Right.
And I think that's probably just because I follow and am susceptible to a lot of like personal coaches and like that stuff. And so, yeah, that was what my Instagram was. And then pretty much all my TikTok was what kind of equipment you should use.
Hmm.
And
My
again,
TikTok was similar to I found 2 videos of guys just like talking about 4 steps, and then my TikTok one was like a guy who was like, find your why, find your how, find your yeah.
Yeah, and again, I feel like that's like indicative of like a lot of my TikTok, like a lot of the videos that like I go back to, and like when I search on TikTok, a lot of what I'm looking for, like I'm obsessed with those like organization videos that link to their Amazon storefronts. And so I feel like TikTok was like, oh, she doesn't actually want to learn how, she just needs to know what to buy.
Well, yeah, now TikTok is all just like the TikTok shop stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm surprised I didn't see more stuff where it was just like, starting a podcast, cool. Buy this microphone on TikTok shop. It's
that's what I was getting.
It's only 5 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, no, that's cool that like, because I do think, I mean, honestly, that's good that there was a video about like, find your why. Because I feel like I said that phrase earlier in this episode. So.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So I think it's funny though. I kind of feel like I struck out on Instagram and TikTok for this topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's because they probably just went to the same articles we went to.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like that also like kind of shows that like this is a topic that you're not necessarily going to go to short form media for.
Right. Yeah,
this
that's
is a
also
topic
true.
where you're looking for more like published, accredited stuff.
Very true.
Yeah.
And my Reddit
Did
also
you find anything funny on? Oh, go ahead.
The same thing. It's similar. Let me re-look at it and see if I can give a good summation. My Reddit has so many steps.
Yeah.
Well, it's just more like a list of tips. Like have fun, have a passion on your subject, do research, do a practice podcast, record this one's I didn't even see this one. Record 4 to 5 podcasts before you even get started and store up as many as you think you'll need in case of vacations, sickness, and holidays.
You know, that's a good tip. We're not doing that off the bat, but I like that for future.
Yeah. Record with friends and co-hosts.
Oh, that's fun.
Limit editing.
Oh, I like that too. This is you found a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Says that advertising through Facebook is not good, I guess. And this person says they advertise basically by commenting and linking their podcasts to like Facebook groups and Reddit.
Huh.
That's cool.
I feel like we're gonna find that Reddit has some of the best advice because that's actually like good actionable stuff.
Well, and there's an entire subreddit called podcasting, r/podcasting.
So I found that one, and then I also found r/podcast, and I found some good ones too. And it was like this whole like long thread, and it was funny because usually I love looking and reading the comments, but the only comment on the thread that I found was thank you. I was like, cool. Actually, you know what? This is the one. So Reddit is the place to look, friends, if you're looking at our show notes and trying to find actual advice. Because you want to know what? In my Reddit post, like I found 2. I kind of cheated. It tells me what an RSS feed is.
Oh, nice.
So an RSS, a really simple syndication.
That's what it is?
URL, Uniform Resource Locator, or what we commonly call a link that will allow you to share your podcast in other platforms and directories.
So it's called Really Simple Syndicate. That's the acronym?
Yeah, Really Simple Syndication, which makes sense because if you think about
That's
like syndication
hilarious.
of a TV show, and this is like simplifying that syndication so that you can share it without having to contract with like NBC or ABC.
I just thought it was going to be fancier than that.
I know, me too.
But it stands for Really Simple Syndication.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I really liked, so at the bottom, they have like a lot of really good tips, but then they have like more tips for specifically like beginning. And one of them is repurpose your content, like to use for marketing. I was like, that's a good one because I don't think people would think of.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, keep a constant bank of episode ideas, which I think is important. Like that was one of the first things you and I did was like sit down. Well, that was one of the first things I did, and then you and I sat down and put them in a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And then create a content calendar where you block off time to record, edit, and then eventually publish. So
repurposing is huge. Yeah, it's a good point.
And so definitely would recommend my Reddit post and yours.
Yeah.
But then I found a pretty funny one on our podcasting. And the title of it is I want to start a podcast. I have a really great idea and a key demographic in mind. However, I'm so scared. I get it. I'm scared too. I'm scared to promote it. I'm scared of what people think and how it would potentially affect my kids. I'm also scared that no one would care. I don't want to dump a bunch of money into something and have it not work out.
How would
Anyone
it affect
have any tips
kids?
or things I could do to get over my fear? Thanks. And then the comments really took over. And
why? What's her worry about a podcast impacting her children?
I know, and that's what one of the really funny. So one of the comments is use a pseudonym and set a manageable budget.
What do they mean?
We're doing this wrong. We're using our real names.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. And then it was really funny because
I'll censor it every time we say our names.
What?
I'll censor it whenever we say our names now. I'll bleep it out.
We also said our brother's name.
Yeah, you screwed.
And then it was funny because there were a lot of someone with the username MakeYouLOL went on a whole motivational speech.
Oh.
And it starts with podcasting and content creation is a shameless business. People are going to tell you not to do it. People are going to scratch their head when you tell them what you're doing. People close to you are not going to share the same interest in the things you want to talk about. You can't be afraid of these obstacles. You cannot let them affect you. Thanks, MakeYouLOL.
Yeah, thanks. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
And then basically everyone was saying, don't dump a bunch of money in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I made that mistake with the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So what we'll do is we'll link all of those. And I think usually in other episodes and as the topic allows, we'll probably play the TikToks that we watch and show the graphics.
Yeah.
As well as linking them, but.
Yeah. This is our first podcast. It's kind of a practice round, so.
Kind of a practice, but then also one of the reasons why I was really excited to do this one is because I'm so excited about how we're about to finish it. Because you might ask how to start a podcast, or I want to start a podcast. What next? Well, follow along.
Yeah. Follow along.
That's what next. Because we want to start a podcast. So
what next? On What Next?
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. That was I love the dramatic effect of that. That was great.
Thanks. So I'd be asking you
follow along.
Yeah, follow along. And
what
we do.
What's our next episode? We're talking about Wake Up. What next, right?
Yeah. So our next one is going to be You Wake Up. What next?
Yeah. So if you want to hear that.
Yeah. And then I think too, just as a little teaser, and what I'm really excited about is we're definitely going to be talking about a huge variance of life events. And so we'll be doing everything from you wake up, what next, to I lost my job, what next. So we'll be getting deep on some episodes, and if you're listening just because you know that ADHD guy on TikTok, he'll be sharing some stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to do, you finished filming a movie, what next?
Yeah.
So that's one that not a lot of people will relate to.
Drink a coffee, what next?
Yeah, I like that. Drink a coffee, what next?
Spoiler alert.
Coffee, what next?
Yeah, but spoiler alert, it's probably run to the bathroom.
True.
Go poopy.
Actually, I don't have that problem with coffee. Those perks of being a barista for 5 years.
Wow.
So for me, it's like...
Good for you.
Take a nap.
Drink coffee, take a nap. Drink coffee, take a poop.
What next? Yeah.
What next? I love it. All right. How do we end this?
With actionable advice. What's one piece of actionable advice that we took away from the internet?
Don't care what other people say.
Yeah. Don't care what people say. And I think just do it. Just start.
Just do it. Nike.
Yeah, true. Nike said it best. How to start a podcast? Look to Nike. Just do it.
Just do it.
And don't get caught up on TikTok about what equipment you need.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it. Just start talking. Someone will want to hear you.
Someone.
Alex wants to pop in.
All right.
Alex is my fiance. Oh, look, we have 2 guests.
Is that a burrito?
What is it?
What is that?
Oh, he brought me food.
Oh.
Aw. You finish a podcast? What next? Eat your food your fiance brought you.
Hi, Alex.
Boom.
Oh, didn't hear me.
I think that's how we end it. We finished this podcast. What next?
All right, say bye, Joshy, to the podcast.
Bye, podcast.